So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the Netflix live action One Piece adaptation. The big question people are going to have is, well, does it suck? Is it terrible? Or is it really, really good? And the answer that I came to is actually very interesting. When I first started watching it, the first 30 seconds, I thought, this is amazing. Like, this is the atmosphere and the tone that I was looking for. But then I was blown away by the Rogers execution scene. Because the actor that they chose, the look, the feel, everything was just mwah, chef's kiss. It was amazing. And for me to use the term amazing about anything Netflix, especially an anime adaptation, is incredible. Now, there's a lot of good in this, which again surprised the hell out of me. However, let me just say some things up front. First of all, yes, there is a lot of westernizing, there's a lot of race swapping. Of course there is. This is Hollywood, this is Netflix. If you didn't think that half of any given crowd is going to be women or, people of color, you're just fooling yourself. But the difference here is that I actually found it inoffensive. There wasn't this overabundance of focus on it. It's just something that you notice, and it does take you out of the series because it's so obvious. The panning shots and the way that they do it, they're trying to get as much diversity into the shot as possible. Yeah, it's a little bit off-putting. It does take you out of the experience, but it is rather benign. It isn't as bad as it is in a lot of other series. So, in that way, it's actually not that bad. And actually, what I will say is I like some of the changes that they did make in terms of outright race swapping. I thought some of the choices were good. I think the MVP for the show, if I'm being honest, is Helmeppo. Helmeppo, I mean, I don't even know how to put it. Uh, Helmeppo in this, the actor is just so perfect. He does a phenomenal job. Like, a lot of the actors do a good job, but Helmeppo is one of the reasons to watch the show. And so, one of the scenes that I think is just absolutely hysterical, and it solidifies Helmeppo as like such a ridiculous character, but it was done so well, was the scene where Helmeppo is in front of a mirror and he's buck naked and he's got Zoro's sword, so he's like posing in front of the camera. And it was so hilarious. Genuinely, genuinely funny. And I think that there are a lot of really interesting scenes in this show. They've made some changes, some of them good, some of them not so good, in my opinion. Um, I think that the worst one thus far has to do with Bartier and how Arlong is introduced to Luffy and Luffy is introduced to Arlong well before the anime. And I mean, I understand taking big changes and stuff like that. But the reason why it was so completely off putting, at least to me, was the fact that it removes a lot of the impact of the scene and it actually changes Luffy's character. Because Luffy goes to fight Arlong not because he has some grudge against him or is fighting against him. He literally only fights Arlong for Nami. That's the only reason. And that is part of the endearing nature of his character, and I think that's one of the best parts. Now, in this, it seems that they've changed Nami a little bit as well. Like, there are changes that I understand. I don't like all of them, but I'm okay with them. And I think that's the biggest thing here. My initial impression of this show was that it was good. And as time goes on, it's still good even though it misses in a few places. There are a couple obvious things that I would change and alter, but at the end of the day, for what this is, I mean, for Netflix shows, this is a masterpiece. There's no question about it. For a Netflix anime adaptation, this is a masterpiece. Understand what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with the people that gave us live action Cowboy Bebop. We are dealing with people at Netflix that have a tendency of going so woke that they make something like Resident Evil on Netflix. So for what we're getting here, for what it is, I think this is amazing. Now, there may be a season 2. I don't know. I've heard that there are rumors. It's not confirmed. I hope they make a season 2 of this. Now, I don't want to give anyone the wrong impression. I'm not saying to go into this if you watch this as though it's going to be the best thing ever. It's going to be like a 9 out of 10 show. No. This is just a fun, enjoyable time. It is not similar to One Piece, the anime, but that's fine. That's fine. And I think that this guy who plays Luffy, he does a fantastic job. He does a very, very good job. And a lot of these characters are very well done. I think that, honestly, my only critique is on how I would have approached this project myself. I would have changed a lot of the... How do I say it? I would have changed a lot of the theming. Oh, it's pirate theme. No. They could have gone with a more Pirates of the Caribbean type of aspect to appeal to general audiences and incorporating that One Piece feel. Because there are some elements that I think are maybe too ridiculous. But, you know, it's an anime, but you also want to make it for general movie audiences. And I also don't like the way Arlong looks. I really don't. I don't think Arlong looks very good in... this scene was great, though. Like, the effects at times can be kind of wonky, but, like, stuff like this is really, really, really good. Yeah, I think overall this is a huge success. And understand that me saying that, I did a video where I was like, I'm not even going to watch this because it looks so terrible. But they managed to get some stuff right, and they managed to do a pretty decent job. Now, what I will say is that I don't know how they're going to do some of the other stuff, because it's clear that this doesn't have a large budget, at all. So I'm not really sure how they're going to do a lot of stuff coming up that's more, like, ridiculous. And it's clear that a lot of the stuff was condensed because they didn't have money. I don't know why you wouldn't just give them all the money they wanted. Like, do you understand? One Piece is so big. Why are these corporations using these franchises that are so popular and then giving them a shoestring budget? The budget for this should have been 2 to 3 times, maybe even 4 times more. And then it could have been something amazing, which is why I'm hoping that this does really well, and then people put their money into bigger battles, bigger fight scenes, and that would be in line with One Piece, because the first season of One Piece, the first bunch of episodes, yeah, they had a pretty low budget. I mean, if you remember, they didn't have the graphics or the CGI and the stuff that they had later on. Now, full disclosure, I don't know about any of the comments that people have made in relation to this show recently. Like if they've made any woke, idiotic comments or, some kind of virtue signaling noise. But for me, I mean, this is so much better than I was expecting. That it's I'm flabbergasted, honestly. Like legitimately flabbergasted. Oh, and Buggy the Clown. He's funny. I mean, I had a good time watching his whole thing. Let's take a look at some of the comments. I'm interested to see. Um, it makes you realize how the anime made amazing use of scale as the live action suffers from limited size of sets. Yeah, yeah. No, like I was saying, the budget. Also, whoever did the lighting has the skill of someone who gets their qualifications from social media. Everything is flat and boring. I don't necessarily agree with that. I do agree to an extent with this, but man, I think the Rurouni Kenshin movies and Erased are one of the best live action adaptations. The show wasn't too bad overall. It definitely still has its looks super cheap and cringy over the top acting, but it's rare. But it's rarer than Cowboy Bebop, which I still very much believe deserved a chance at season 2. Hell no, hell no. Um, yeah, no. I haven't watched the anime. I only watched the show. The sidekick character motivations felt shoehorned, and I didn't like it. In Zoro's flashback, his arch nemesis immediately becomes his bestest friend. Yeah, they didn't do a great job at some of that stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, they didn't flush out. But see, I know the backstory, and a lot of people know the backstory, so maybe they were hoping that. Say, why do they call it One Piece when it's over 1,000 chapters? Um, why do they call it Ovaltine? The container is round. The mug is round. They should call it Round Tea. That's really funny. So, yeah, I mean, some mixed feelings about it. But the show was good. I mean, just be honest about the fact that it's good. And I know that some people may take that like, oh, are you saying it's the best thing ever? No, no, no. I've made it very clear. There are a lot of moments where I'm like, wow, that's not very good, or, it feels cheap, or, this doesn't make sense. Why does Arlong look like he's just barely taller than Luffy when he should be like 9 feet tall? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, but understand, this is the first season, and it's obvious that they have a shoestring budget, because for some reason, despite One Piece being one of the most popular IPs in the world right now, the geniuses in the West don't think that they have any staying power. This is one of the most embarrassing things. America is filled with some of the stupidest people at these upper echelon positions that do not understand anything. From Kathleen Kennedy onward, you have people that are making decisions that are so bafflingly ignorant and out of touch. You should give One Piece, the live action, as much money as they want and advertise it, because it's One Piece. And if people feel like this is going to be good, they will actually come and watch it and support it. This was a good show for a Netflix show. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. It was a good show for a Netflix show. You know? And, I mean, yeah. I liked it. Not bad. Kudos to the team that put it together. Not perfect, but but damn entertaining, interesting, and it had a flair for One Piece while not being a direct copy. Love it, love it, love it. All right, well that'll do it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.